At that time, Jesus told this parable to some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, "God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give 1/10 of all I get." But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. The Gospel of Christ. In today's Gospel, Jesus invites us to contemplate 2 men praying in the temple. One was a Pharisee, and the other was a tax collector. You should already understand what a Pharisee is and what a tax collector is. The Pharisees were scrupulous observers of the law. They were the religious upper class. Tax collectors were regarded by the Jews as traitors because they worked for the Romans. These 2 men prayed. There is something particularly interesting about the first one, the Pharisee. His prayer had one distinctive characteristic. I am not like that tax collector. I give 1/10 of all my income. I am not greedy, unjust, or adulterous. His prayer started with I and ended with I. There was no room for others, nor for God. His prayer was more like presenting his report card before God, a form of boasting and showing off. Jesus immediately presented the other man, the tax collector, as a contrast. He stood at a distance, head bowed, not even daring to look up to heaven, and beat his breast. Standing at a distance represents his recognition of the proper distance that should exist between his own impurity and God's holiness. Beating his breast was an acknowledgement of his sinfulness. Bowing his head showed he knew he had no right to face God's holiness. These 2 men represent 2 different ways of praying. One involves humbling oneself, crying out to God only, "I am a sinner, have mercy on me." This is the most profound and beautiful prayer. It is easy to say, but to truly internalize it and live it out from the depths of one's heart is not easy. If our way of praying is like that of the Pharisee, it will inevitably become transactional and lead to a consequence. God, I have followed your laws so diligently. I have worshipped you so faithfully. I have done so well. So when something goes wrong in my life, I immediately ask God, why don't you bless me when I have done so well? Do you know that in our church there is a saint named Saint Augustine? He once said a very beautiful and famous words. God created us without our consent, but to save us, he requires our cooperation. There is a misunderstanding in our faith. We think that by striving hard and diligently observing, we can climb the mountain to reach God. But what God needs and desires more is to see us humbly kneeling here, allowing him to descend to us. One is trying to climb up to him through our own efforts. The other is humbly lowering ourselves, allowing him to come down into our hearts. This is why the language was confused at the Tower of Babel, because they tried to reach the heights through their own efforts. But people forget that what you need to do is humble yourself and simply let God come down. We should do good deeds, pray devoutly, faithfully follow God's law, and observe the church's precepts, striving to ascend God's holy mountain. Yes, these are good things. So what today's gospel teaches is this. True righteousness means continually opening ourselves to God, just like this tax collector. Therefore, remember these words from the first reading. The prayer of the lowly pierces the clouds. May God be praised forever.